Good evening, everyone. We are going to adjourn the regular meeting for May of the Boerne ISD Board of Trustees. So we'll call the meeting to order and establish the quorum. We've got Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Dr. Kristen Kraft, Garrett Wilson, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Darter-Bruce, and Rich Sinna. So we do have a quorum. At this time, we will go into closed session to discuss Texas Government Code 551074, consideration of formative evaluation of the superintendent in alignment with board operating procedures, Texas Government Code 551.074, deliberation regarding matters related to employment, appointments, resignations, terminations, retirements, and reassignments, Texas Government Code 551.0821, deliberation of personally identifiable information about a public school student, Texas Government Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Texas Government Code 551.076, consider the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices or a security audit. So at this time, it is 4:37, and we will go into closed session. Okay, good evening, everyone. We will reconvene back into open session here. The time is 6:30, and we still have a quorum here. We've got Mr. Carlin Fryer, Dallas Pipes, Dr. Kristen Kraft, myself, Garrett Wilson, Christy Schmidt, Courtney Darter-Bruce, and Rich Sinna. We've got a quorum, and at this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. Ms. Rayner, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. At this time, please rise for the presentation of colors by the Boerne High School Junior ROTC Color Guard.
Colors. Halt. Freeze and colors.
Please join our students from Captain Mark T. Voss Middle School as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
Colors. Post. Order. Colors. Colors turn. March.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence and prayer. Thank you, and please be seated. Mr. President and trustees, our students from Captain Mark T. Voss Middle School have some great questions for you this evening.
All right, welcome guys. Well, if you don't mind, when you come up to ask a question, just tell us your name and grade and then fire away.
My name is Sadie Steinke and I am in 8th grade and I am a committee leader for Student Council. My question is, how do you decide what's best for students when people in the community have different opinions?
I'll do this.
Right? Perfect.
So as you can imagine, we get all kinds of texts and phone calls, and people have different opinions. And the thing that we have to do is respect those opinions, right? But you tend to get a consensus of where people are thinking. And I always say I respect everyone's opinion except for when they think theirs is the only one, right? Because that's when it becomes a challenge. But yeah, we listen to everyone's opinions, and you kind of weigh what the community's thought process is.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Advaith Prasanna. I'm in 7th grade, and I'm also a community leader in student council. My question is, what inspired you to serve on the school board?
Anybody want to take that one?
Yeah, we actually, we're going to be swearing in a new trustee tonight, so maybe she can share that later. But to me, education, having a good school system is the foundation of any community. You can have great roads and great parks, but if you don't have great schools, you'll never be a great community. And to me, it really came from my family. My grandparents all came to this country with nothing more than a 3rd or 4th grade education. They didn't have that opportunity, but they stressed in their children and their grandchildren the need to become educated, and that was very important. And then what I got from my parents was the need to give back, that you've been given much and you should return that to your community. So it is a joy and an honor to serve our community on the school board. We have 11,135 students. I didn't know you guys till tonight, although the young man in the middle, I think I recognize you from student advisory out at Voss. But I speak for all my peers, it's like we have 11,135 children. That's what we feel, because we want what's best for all of our kids. You know, so that's what inspired me.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ishan Singh, and I'm a 7th grader and also a committee leader in student council. My question is, what advice do you have for students who want to be leaders in their schools?
Can I take this one? Sure. All right, well, thank you so much. You're showing your leadership by coming tonight, and obviously you're a leader on campus. So I always think that it's so important to lead with love and respect to other people. So I think leading by example is the best way to lead, but when you can go into a room and respect individuals, that is the biggest takeaway for other people, is to see how you treat others. And so when I try to lead others, and I'm leading on the school board, I try to be respectful with interactions with others, be kind to others, and sometimes just people want to be heard, and so offering a listening ear, but always being kind. So people want to follow kind leaders, but also you have to be very bold, but you can do that with kindness too. So that's a great question, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of an answer.
Can I ask you if you're involved in any other activities besides, of course, being on the student council?
Yes, I'm part of the student advisory committee.
So that would be my advice too, just to stay involved as much as possible. And like Courtney said, listening's a big part of it, and just talking to people of all different ages and leading by example and just continuing to learn.
Okay, thank you so much.
And as a backup to what Mr. Fryer shared before, listen, ask questions. We have 2 of these and 1 of these for a reason. Ask questions and listen, and do your homework. Work hard. Any good leader has to know enough about any topic they're going to be given the responsibility of deciding on. You have to do your homework, and that's very important.
Let's give a round of applause to our future leaders from Mark T. Voss Middle School. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. President, our trustees, and Dr. Kraft to join me on the floor for our commendations. We're excited to celebrate several outstanding students and staff this evening. We'd love for you to stay until the end so that every honoree feels that Boerne love and support. Thanks for being here to help us celebrate them. We're going to start off with our first commendation. Congratulations to Noah Hernandez from Champion High School for being appointed to the United States Naval Academy. The scholarship for that education is a $400,000 value. He's headed to one of the most prestigious military service academies in the country. He'll receive not only a bachelor's degree, but when he graduates, he'll be ranked as a commissioned officer. Let's give Noah a round of applause. Tonight, we'd like to take a moment to recognize our campuses: Currington Elementary, Herf Elementary, Kendall Elementary, Faber Elementary, and Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary for receiving the distinction of capturing kids' hearts for the 24-25 National Showcase School. Each of their campuses fosters environments where it's a positive culture and students feel connected and engaged. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's give them another round of applause. For our next commendation, we're excited to recognize Haley Muir for winning the Daughters of the American Revolution Essay and Scholarship Contest. She's the winner of the Good Citizen Award, and she won $1,500. Congratulations, Haley. Let's give her one more round of applause. Tonight, we're thrilled to recognize the Boerne High School FFA Ag Sales Team. They won 5th place at state. They're actually at a public speaking contest. Oh, nope, they're here. Never mind. Surprise, surprise. They are here to receive their award. Are you headed to Fredericksburg after this? No. Let's give them a round of applause. Next up, we're excited to recognize Taylor Burleson, ELAR and Social Studies teacher at Currington Elementary School, for spearheading a project to have her 5th graders create a display in the Holocaust Memorial Museum of San Antonio. Their campus is the first elementary school in their 25-year history to have an exhibit featured. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Ms. Burleson. Our next commendation recognizes 4 extraordinary students that are the first 3 of them are Champion High School UIL track stars. Charlie Hook, he earned a state silver medal for the 3,200 meter race, and he placed 6th in the 1,600 meter. Caleb DeHart had a 4th place finish in the 800 meter, while Jamari Bowie brought home the state bronze medal in the 400 meter, and Boerne High School UIL track star Aaron Garcia placed 9th in the 3,200 meter. Let's give them a round of applause. It's with immense pride and joy that we celebrate champion high school students that participated in the Texas Art Education Association State Visual Arts Scholastic event. They earned a state rating of 4, which makes them all state artists and a state medal. These students are Georgina Baldoza, Arden Balzar, Emma Barraza, Rowan Burbick, Kaya Dragomir, Alita Estrada, Madison Hernandez, Emily Show, and Catherine Sloan, along with Boerne High School student Braden Gardner. Congratulations. Our next commendation is to celebrate the champion high school theater. They dominated at zone, district, by district, and area 5A one-act play competitions before placing third and being named state runner-up at the regional competition. You can join their ensemble for a final performance next Tuesday, May 20th at 6:30 at Champion High School Auditorium. You have no excuse not to be there because it's also a free performance. Let's give them a huge round of applause. This is a very special night as Boerne ISD proudly honors the dedicated leaders, teachers, and staff members retiring this year. Your service has shaped countless lives and strengthened our schools and community. We thank you for your commitment, celebrate your contributions, and wish you all the best in your next chapter. Let's give all our retirees a round of applause. Thank you so much, and good luck on your next adventure. Next up, Boerne ISD proudly recognizes Jeff Flynn of the Boerne Star and Barron Wiley of Boerne Radio for being named to the Texas Association of School Boards Media Honor Roll. In fact, the Boerne ISD Board of Trustees have a resolution in your honor to celebrate your commitment to fair, accurate, and balanced reporting on public education and local school issues. Let's give Jeff and Barron a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Kraft to present a very special recognition.
All right, we will start actually with Garrett Wilson. Yes, sir. I would like to say thank you for your year of service as board president. We had a phenomenal year together and our team of 8, and we look forward to your continued leadership on the board. And I want to welcome your family who's here to celebrate. And with tradition, this is a plaque for you recognizing your dedication and service to Boerne as board president this school year. So thank you, sir.
I think we'd like a photo with his family. You would like to have it? Okay, next we have another special commendation recognizing Maritza Gonzalez Cooper. Maritza has served on the board since 2013, has made countless contributions supporting students and staff. During the 12-year of Maritza's service, our district increased from 7,229 students in 2013 to 11,125 students today, and the number of campuses increased from 9 to 13. Maritza served as a board president in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. Through her leadership and service, our students were able to get back to the classroom quickly in order to continue their educational pursuits. Maritza was instrumental in establishing the Distinguished Alumni Award ceremony, honoring the past and embracing the best of Boerne. Maritza also played a key role in the passing of the 2016 and 2022 bond elections. It's with gratitude and appreciation that we present Maritza Gonzalez Cooper with a special plaque, and we'll make sure to get that to her. Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause. This concludes our commendations and recognitions for this evening. If our board and Dr. Kraft can please make their way to their seats behind the dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reyna. Okay, so moving on to the next item in our agenda here. We've got approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Okay, next up, we've got canvass, the May 3rd, 2025 general election for Boerne ISD. So the following is from the Kendall County Elections Office. The total votes cast were 3,229. Total provisional votes cast were 0. For the election for school board trustee place 4, we have Maritza Gonzalez Cooper, the incumbent, with 687 votes. We had Sarah Falconberry with 2,271 votes. For the election for school board trustee place 5, we had Garrett Wilson, the incumbent, with 2,303 votes, and Scott Newberry with 580 votes. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for the Boerne ISD Board of Trustees to accept and certify the May 3rd, 2025 school board trustee election results as reported by the Kendall County Elections Administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Great. So the next up is the administrative oath of office to the elected board members. So if myself and Ms. Falconberry will make our way to the front.
At this time, please join me in welcoming Judge Cahoon of the 451st Judicial District Court in Kendall County. She will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members, Sarah Falconberry and Garrett Wilson. If we could do a few family photos right up here.
Okay, thank you again, Judge Cahoon. Your presence here is always appreciated. Okay, the next item on the agenda. Welcome, Ms. Falconberry. The next item on the agenda is conduct annual reorganization of board for purpose of electing the president, vice president, and secretary. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for the board president, vice president, and secretary.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to elect the following slate of officers. Board President, Christy Schmidt. Vice President, Courtney Darter Bruce. And for Secretary, Rich Senna.
I will second that. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, great. So let's reorganize the board. Mrs. President.
These are keys. Is this your tea? Yeah, that's Oh, let's give him his candy. If I can do half as good a job as Garrett did this year, then I'll be doing all right. So just want to thank you, Garrett, for a great year as president. I learned a lot from you, so thank you. And congratulations to Miss Sarah Falconberry. We're so proud of you. And congratulations to Dallas and Courtney. You finished your first year, and as well as Dr. Kraft, you finished your first full year. So congrats to everyone. And Carlin and Rich, congrats for being just awesome. So. It's a privilege to serve as your president this year, and I'm looking forward to it. And the next thing we have on our agenda is going to be core values in action.
All right, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Kraft, we have a couple of amazing videos this evening. We're excited to recognize our core value and action recipient, Valentina Trigo. She's a fourth grader at Van Rob Elementary. She has really shined bright with respectful relationships. If you could please roll the video.
Hi, my name is Valentina Trigo, and I am a fourth grade student here at Van Rob Elementary School.
Valentina is just a tremendous young lady. She was picked because she is a giver. She often takes less so that others can have more. The main core value that she displays is excellence with integrity. She does everything well, has a very high level of character, and just is a lot of integrity in everything she does.
Valentina is an outstanding student in every way. She will help others in every situation. She is kind to everyone. She includes people. No matter what group you put Valentina in, she will absolutely work with everybody and make everyone feel wonderful.
At school, I really like reading my books, and out of school, I have a hobby of horseback riding.
She spends a lot of days at Black Copper Farm taking lessons and riding her horse Junebug. She participates in horse shows and is very successful there. She loves acting. She is involved in the Wonder Theater. She participated in 101 Dalmatians in the role of Pepper.
If there were such a thing as being gifted and talented in music, that would be Valentina. It's really fun to have a student like that that sort of challenges me on top of challenging herself.
She's always going to be that individual that is going to help others, help lead, seeing a need, filling that need, and it's always going to be with this big, beautiful smile and this light, bright light in her eyes.
If they need help with doing something, I would tell them, you got this, you can just keep trying.
She absolutely lights up the room. When you walk in, it just makes your day better.
And Valentina is here this evening. If you want to go right up to the podium, they might have some questions for you about you and your horse, Junebug.
Thank you for being here, Valentina. That was a pretty impressive video. It seems like you're really busy and you're smart and you're a great leader. So thank you and congratulations. And we'll see if anybody has any questions for you.
I wanted to know what you like most about acting.
I like most about acting is that I can be different people. I can be different people when I'm acting. So I don't have to be just one person. I can be like 5.
I have a question for you. I love the energy that you go with. Just it seems like I can tell that you have so much great energy that you attack every day and probably every activity. Please never stop that. But I really have an important question. Where are we going to see you in 20 years?
Maybe in the Olympics. So
Hey, there you go.
That is a very good answer, Valentina. Now, you seem like a strong leader, and that's great. Our country needs leaders. Your principal is sitting in the back row. If you were principal not for a day, for a week, what do you think you would do to make Van Rob an even better school than it already is?
I would make sure that the teachers get more appreciation weeks because they only get one. More.
Very good answer.
Good answer, yeah. Wow, very good. How long have you had your horse Junebug?
Well, on June 4th, it's going to be our 1-year anniversary.
Okay.
There you go.
Is that how you named him?
What?
Is that how you named him Junebug? Because you got him in June?
Well, actually, it's just coincidence.
Okay. It's a good name.
I would say just keep up your enthusiasm. You know, one of the comments in the video was that you light up a room, and we could see just the big smile on your face sitting there watching the video yourself. You really do light up a room. So keep your positive attitude.
Thank you.
Let's give her a round of applause. And tonight's BEF Wow moment takes us to Boerne High School. Thanks to a BEF grant, students are enjoying their new microscopes and LCD screens to capture videos and still images. Let's check out the video.
I'm Hudson Bruce. Welcome to Boerne High School. Today's wow moment is in Mr. Jeffcoat's science class, where the students are looking at microorganisms through their new state-of-the-art microscopes.
This grant was for a new age microscopes. So they're completely digital. As you can see, they not only connect to the smartboard, but they are also able to connect to their devices. The days of looking through one eye hole through a microscope, it's in the past. And so what it has done is it's allowed Boerne High School to come into a modern technology, and we couldn't have done it without the grant.
Thank you for supporting every student, every teacher, and every school in Boerne ISD.
That wraps up our inspiring videos for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Yvette. Up next, we have visitor comments and testimonials. And it looks like we have a sign up. I'll read the public comments. The board encourages comments about the district from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant's comments pertain to public education and be no longer than 3 minutes. The overall time limit for comments will be 30 minutes. Remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on our agenda. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. The board encourages the public to discuss concerns with an appropriate administrator who has the authority to address the concerns. Concerns should be expressed as soon as possible to allow early resolution at the lowest possible level. Finally, please be aware the rules of decorum will be enforced during public comment period and throughout the meeting. Disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Those who choose to engage in disruptive behavior may be asked to leave. Each participant is legally responsible for the content and consequences of his or her own statements. Copies of our district policy on public participation can be found at our website. And we have one person signed up to speak, Rabbi Morris.
Thank you for the invitation. I moved to Boerne 2.5 years ago, and I am the rabbi of the Jewish community in Boerne and the Hill Country, but my secret trade is I'm the dean of the Jewish Day School in San Antonio and have been in education for 28 years. So when, it came up, all the retired folks, I was hoping to see my name, but no. I'm here tonight because I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the Boerne ISD, the board, superintendent, the principals, Mr. Brett Bunker of the Social Studies Department, and Ms. Burleson for their efforts in making it a priority to teach about what happens in the world when there is hate and anti-Semitism. I am so pleased to see the progress of this project, and my good friend Leslie Met at the Holocaust Memorial was super proud that Boerne's students really made a difference. I and so many are deeply concerned about the anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiments that we are seeing on college campuses and around the world. The lessons and sacrifices that were made by the greatest generation just 80 years ago during World War II and the Holocaust, unfortunately, are being forgotten. If we don't stand together and stop racism, hatred, anti-Semitism, and fanaticism in its tracks, we will all pay a very heavy price. While Jews are targeted today, history has taught us that when Jews have always been the canary in the coal mine, what starts with hatred of Jews does not end with them, but rather with all freedom-loving people. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and I'm going to make a bold statement because my schedule is pretty packed, but if I can ever be of help as an educator in any way, please call on me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. All right, thank you. Next, we have consider action, if any, regarding items discussed in closed session. We have 2 motions to look at here. The first one is a request for approval of personnel items. Can I please request approval of routine personnel items?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. And second, I would entertain a motion to proceed as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Next, we have our consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve our meetings from consent.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Got a second from Rich? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next up, we have governance, which are board member reports. I think we've had a lot of events going on in May. We know not every committee meets every month, so there may be a few that may not have a committee report, but we'll start with Garrett, if you're ready.
Yeah, do you wanna give the finance one? Do you mind? Yeah, go, I'll pass it off. That's what I had.
You want me to start this end then?
Sure, that's great.
Sure. So the Finance Committee met on May the 7th, discussed a number of items. We talked about a discussion regarding stipend proposals for the upcoming budget season, recommendations for CTE, Ag, and Fine Arts departments. Obviously, still part of the whole budget conversation. We talked about how historically employee raises have been given based upon the midpoint instead of the actual, and so there was discussion about whether we should continue that practice on the percentage of increase, whether it be actual pay or midpoint. Again, that'll be presented at a future budget workshop. Same thing regarding, not same thing, but we had a compensation discussion regarding assistant principal compensation, average assistant principal pay within our region, and then some recommendations to adjust that pay scale to be more competitive. Talked about, Mr. Scott gave us a preliminary property value report that we've received from all of the appraisal districts. Boerne ISD's preliminary net taxable value for the 2025-2026 school year. It represents a 9% increase in taxable values, would result in a 0.37 cent tax rate decrease under current law, and we estimate that the total tax levy for the next budget season will be $121.5 million. Had a brief discussion regarding a voter-approved tax ratification election and what the timeline would look like on that, if that was something that the board decided to proceed with in the future, depending on legislative action or inaction on how we fund our school district. And then we had a bond update based on the 22 bond, and review of the projects and estimated project budgets and potential savings of those projects. So, and that concluded our meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, well, I heard you're going to lower taxes, so that's what I got out of that. Okay, District Technology Advisory Council meeting. We just met last week. The agenda was technology plan, overview, and recap. Evaluate class sets and one-to-one devices. Artificial intelligence was what we kind of ended with. The meeting notes, we had the highlight of the 3-year technology plan were reviewed. An overview of upcoming technology infrastructure projects were reviewed. A 24-25 device update was reviewed. And evaluate class sets of one-on-one devices. Members worked to help define what a one-to-one program could look like. Members assessed strengths and challenges of students' devices programs by comparing one-on-one models with class set approaches. The artificial intelligence conversation, teaching and learning departments reviewed various topics regarding artificial intelligence, including practices, safety, policy, student and staff use. A student panel consisting of students from Champion High School Cybersecurity P-Tech program and Health Science P-Tech program discussed their thoughts on artificial intelligence. I have to tell y'all, that was amazing. The students that gave their reports and sat at our tables to review I know at our table that was the most productive conversation by far, was from those very, very intelligent students that we had in there, and coming up with ideas as far as if we were going to do some type of protection plan or what things we might look at moving forward. The next meeting will be in the fall of '25.
I'll just add that our PTOs ended the year with Teacher Appreciation Week, so there was a lot happening at every campus. It's the Super Bowl for PTOs, and they did a great job as always, super creative. The board here hosted our appreciation breakfast for the PTO officer, so just want to say thank you to Melanie for your hard work on that and the student involvement, and it was great as always. Courtney?
Okay, I will do the legislative advocacy update. It is crunch time in Austin. There's a lot of work to be done. The session ends June 2nd, and today is the 12th. So we have 3 weeks from today, the session will end. Tonight is the deadline, midnight tonight, for committees in the House to report out any bills they've passed to the calendar committee, and that would have to be done to get it on the calendar for debate prior to June 2nd. So a lot of bills that are making it out of committee, if they don't make it to the calendar committee, they just die. Or if they never got a hearing, they just die. Every session, there's over 8,000 bills filed. Maybe 600 or 700 make it to law. So there's going to be a lot of legislators who sponsored bills bumming out at midnight tonight, which may not be such a bad thing. But in any event, let's take a look. The big one regarding school finance is House Bill 2. It passed the House overwhelmingly. It raises the basic allotment. It gives an automatic adjustment every biennium as property values increase. There's a connection there. They substantially increased money for special education, moving to an intensity-based model. There's additional money going towards the teacher incentive allotment. A big win for small and mid-sized districts up to 5,000 get massive increases in per pupil funding, almost kind of a remarkable amount. The overall bill allocates $7.7 billion in new funding for public ed. Now it goes to the Senate, and the Senate it looks like they're going to have a hearing this Thursday, May 15th. The devils are always in the details. Our understanding is the Senate is going to make significant changes in House Bill 2. Mr. Scott and I will be heading up to Austin to testify. What exactly we testify on remains to be seen, because we got to figure out what's in the bill first. And unlike what happened in Congress many years ago with the Affordable Care Act, they're not going to pass a bill to find out what's in it. They're going to find out what's in it before they pass the bill. And we want to find out what's in it. And actually, the Senate, I'm not trying to be facetious, the Senate is expected to reduce the House's $7.7 billion down somewhat. We just don't know how much. And the Education Committee Chairman in the Senate, Brandon Creighton, is expected to incorporate a lot of the bills that the Senate passed into the Senate version of House Bill 2. And my understanding is, and I wrote down some quotes, because I was on a call today with legislative committees from the Texas Association of School Boards. And the leader of the Ledge Committee was told Friday night that significant progress was made, but no details would be revealed because they want to make sure the plan survives the weekend, okay, before the knives come out and people say, I don't like this, I like this, but I don't like that. Monday morning, another meeting was held. Afterwards, Senator Creighton's staff told our Ledge chair that the best possible outcome was achieved regarding the money, but still no details, so we don't know what that means. And according to one member who serves on the House Education Committee member, former school board member in the Houston area, there's a deal. Once again, no details. So we hear the governor is supportive of House Bill 2, which is great. That means he would sign it into law, but we have to find out what's in the bill. and we actually have a pretty good idea. You look at what the Senate has passed on special ed, you look at what they've passed regarding early childhood intervention, safety and security, and you get a pretty good idea of what's going to be in the bill. There are some differences. Special ed, they're both based on an intensity of service model. It includes a lot of the recommendations from the Continuing Advisory Committee for Special Ed, of which there were several senators on it. There is a dramatic difference in the amount of money that it would go towards increased special ed funding. $1.8 billion in the House, $700 million in the Senate. That is a huge differential. And school safety, there's differences in the school safety allotment and per campus funding, but they're not, the overall cost is about the same. And whatever version comes out, our district would receive a similar amount of incremental revenue. On property tax relief, it appears that Senate Bill 4, sponsored by Paul Betancourt, Senator Betancourt, is the one that looks like it's going to prevail. It would increase the homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. So the first $140,000 of your home value would be exempt from school property taxes. That bill passed the Senate unanimously, bipartisan vote. It was referred to the House Ways and Means Committee, which reported it out favorably. There are some concerns about the hold harmless provision and how that would impact our district. Would that elimination of that provision wipe out much of the gain that we would get from the other bills that would constitute House Bill 2? This is why it's so critical to find out what's in it. I would imagine it'll be released sometime tomorrow because they always want to give the legislators at least a day to sort through it to see how it would affect their school districts. I've already been on the phone with Senator Campbell's district director, education aide, and chief of staff today, expressing some concerns of things we're hearing, but we don't know as fact. So it's basically a preemptive strike that if these things we're hearing come to be, we've got some concerns. So, you know, the state has a tremendous impact on our budgets. And as we've heard before as a board, we're in the bottom, what is it, the 9th lowest funding per pupil in the state based on state funding laws. And we're the only A-rated district in San Antonio. Now, there are folks that think the Senate could use that against us, pointing, look at what they can do with that. But, you know, our people work hard for that. Our teachers, our principals, they work really hard. Everyone in the district works hard to achieve those results. It doesn't happen. And I'll be glad to point out we beat Alamo Heights. Okay, I just want to let everybody know that. There should be laughter and applause in the audience. We beat Alamo Heights. Mr. Fryer, I think I'm quoting Mr. Fryer, or maybe he was quoting me. It's always a great day for Western civilization advancement when Boerne can beat Alamo Heights. Okay. All right. And then House Bill 9, they have a version. It would bring some commercial property tax relief, basically by increasing the amount of property that a business has that would be exempt from taxation. Because, you know, those of us that have small businesses, I think it's up to $25,000. There's an exemption, but anything over that, you got to pay a certain percentage tax, and they want to raise that up to like $250,000 or something like that. So, cell phone usage, House Bill 1481 by Representative Carolyn Fairley, which would ban the use of cell phones, tablets, and smartwatches throughout the school day, passed the House overwhelmingly on a bipartisan vote. It's been referred to the Senate Education Committee, which I don't believe has taken it up yet. And our education commissioner is supportive of the ban. And that's the abbreviated Cliff Notes version. A lot of busy next couple of weeks. So, any questions? Prayers would be good. Yeah.
Thank you for going back up to testify tomorrow. I know you've been several times, and a lot of us have been, and a lot of us were writing letters this weekend to Senator Campbell, and a lot of you sitting out there have been writing letters, and our community has really helped us significantly this session, so thank you.
Yeah, and if I could just circle back around, we did have the last BEF board meeting of the year, and there was nominations for new board members, and that was Megan Frederick, Christy Waterman, and Don Ball, and they have all accepted. So we're excited about that. Circle back around that.
Anybody else have questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Senna. Next on reports, we have Dr. Kraft.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Ms. Falconberry, welcome to the dais. And our team of 8, we're glad to have you on the team. And congratulations to Christy and others to serve in their leadership roles on the board. I'm looking forward to another great year as our team of 8. So current enrollment, although we are about 9 days away from finishing school, we're at 11,141. So so many things going on at the end of the school year. I know your calendars are jam-packed with all kinds of events and celebrations and recognition, so we appreciate all the events that you can make it to. The senior walk is Thursday, and of course your calendars are full. We are in the middle of our scholarship recognition evenings, and we are just so grateful to be in such a generous community. Between Boerne and Champion, we have over 250 students earning scholarships, and that is totaling over $320,000 from our very generous community. So we can't thank them enough. I am really excited about what we've been doing to support rising middle school families. And Krista Pomeroy and Rick Goodrich have done amazing work in building programming to help elementary parents prepare for that middle school transition. And so May 5th, we had a session called Raising Resilient Middle Schoolers. And we had over 80 families join together to learn tips about how to help successfully transition students from elementary to middle school. Counselors were all on hand, and they discussed topics like daily routines, positive communication, organization, establishing boundaries, and just how to navigate those preteen years. And the room was full, and there's a lot of great dialogue and offers for support, and those supports just keep rolling out with every unique situation. Another really exciting event we have taking place this week is offering letters of intent to our students who are in the education pathway. And so we're our own business partner. So we have to leverage educators of the future. And so we're really excited for HR and our CTE team to be offering letters of intent of our high school seniors who are going to college to become a teacher. And we want to see them back here in Boerne student teaching as fast as they can. And we'll be supporting them in getting their certification. And that's taking place over at Champion High School in the library. And I participated in the Boerne Chamber of Commerce Lemonade Day. And I don't know how many of you had a chance to walk up and down Main Street, but it was phenomenal. And we're so thankful to the Chamber for supporting creative ways to help build entrepreneurship skills in our students. When you walked up and down Main Street, most of them were our students and their parents, and they had fantastic business plans and great lemonade and sold all kinds of things in between. And so it was really exciting to hear how they were learning about business and setting up their own business and entrepreneurship. Tonight, we also shared with the board about a security audit. And so an update for the year, we've had 12 of our 14 campuses conduct the audits by TEA. And there was one finding with an exterior portable door that did not latch properly when it was not allowed to swing fully closed. So maintenance, campus administration, and the security team examined the door and made a minor adjustment to the latch and lock, and the campus team and the security team have been assessing doors to make sure that doesn't happen again. And graduation is around the corner, and we cheer on also our Champion Chargers as they progress in their baseball playoffs. So it's very busy. We could be probably 5 places any given night, and just want to say thank you to your support of all of our events and graduations around the corner. So May 22nd and May 23rd, we'll be celebrating with our seniors and their families. Thank you.
Thank you, great stuff. Up next, we have operations. Would you like to introduce Mr. Ramiro?
Yes, Ramiro Guerrero will join us over here at the podium. Really excited to share an update with the board tonight. This topic is sharing an update on the Strategic Facilities Planning Focus Group and Bond 22, if you want to click to the next slide. In the past year, we have had 2 very important focus groups meeting, and you're going to hear about that work tonight. And then we're going to pair it with a district update with the latest information from our demographic report, another bond update, although we had one at our last bond workshop, board budget workshop, and then have time for questions. There's no action taken tonight. This is for your information only. And if you look at the next slide, I'll introduce this. And so when I joined Boerne ISD, Dr. Price had already convened this group of community members that was charged with really looking at data and trends and where we were seeing the growth. What does the data tell us? And this group was just open to all kinds of ideas and gave us feedback and direction for the future, and you're going to hear about their recommendations this evening. So I'll turn it over to Ramiro.
So Dr. Kraft, Board of Trustees, thank you for giving us some time to be able to share with you and to present to you the information that these two focus groups were able to come back with and give us a lot of their suggestions. We realized that in order to get the information in real time, a lot of the people, the stakeholders, have to be involved, and that's exactly what happened. So to begin our presentation, I'd like to invite Ms. Robin Polpa with Pfluger Architects. She's the managing principal at Pfluger Architects. Ms. Polpa.
All right, thank you. Dr. Kraft, Madam President, Board of Trustees, leadership, and distinguished guests, thank you for having me here today to give you an update on the work that two very important community and committee groups have done for the future of Boerne ISD. So first, going back to late 2023 and transitioning into 2024, there was a group that was convened, as Dr. Kraft mentioned, called the Strategic Facilities Planning Focus Group. And this group met over a series of days, and within each meeting focused on a particular aspect of either the district or its facilities and how it related to potentially pivoting towards the future. So just as a really quick recap, the first meeting was a focus on existing facilities. And while we generally talked about a lot of the facilities that are in Boerne's portfolio, there were two that kept coming up to the forefront for discussion for various different reasons. Boerne Middle School North and the location of the Boerne ISD Stadium. And both of those facilities, I know it's no secret to anybody in this room, are challenged with a couple of existing site constraints, area restrictions. You see it every day if you're looking across School Street and across Johns over to Boerne Middle School North with just the traffic that's being impacted there. It's on one of the smallest sites in the district's land or campus portfolio. And also with the stadium, just the tremendous influx of traffic and people that come to that facility on game day is a real burden, not just to the site to be able to accommodate that, but the impact to the neighbors and the surrounding area. So as I mentioned, we looked a little bit more specifically at what makes the challenges that are occurring at those campuses. And like what we talked about at Boerne Middle School North, a lot of it is related to the size of the site. It is just under 13 acres, and it is a much smaller site than what you might normally recommend for a middle school site. Also coupled with that and compounding its issues is the real restriction on being able to expand beyond its current boundaries. You have the creek on one side, you have central office on another, and you have residences and a church that make up the other side. So there's really not a lot of space for that campus to be able to grow and expand. And then similar issue with the stadium, sharing a site with Boerne High School means that all resources are really challenged when there is a game day, most specifically parking and traffic ingress and egress. The group also discussed several different policies that are implemented and used throughout Boerne ISD, things such as block scheduling, transfers, and things of the like. And we had our experts who were represented by central office staff that headed up those departments. They came in and spoke specifically about the challenges from a teaching and learning standpoint, from an administration standpoint, and gave some perspective on why those policies were implemented and why they continue to be a valued resource for the district. We then allowed the group to break into smaller discussions to be able to have more one-on-ones with those experts to really dive down into some of the more specific questions that a particular participant may have on a policy or a procedure. We also then at the next meeting looked out towards the future. We had an update with the demographics that were known at the time, which I know we're going to talk a little bit here in just a minute, but how the impact of new facilities can help alleviate perhaps some demographic concerns. But before really being able to talk about new facilities, you have to have the land to be able to locate those facilities on. So we looked at where the growth is occurring at the district and began to target specific areas that that committee wanted to really make sure that the district was targeting when looking for potential new acquisitions. As the photo that we saw in the intro to the presentation, we did a couple of planning exercises where we talked about the time frame associated with a new elementary school, new middle school, new high school, and new stadium, and started to begin to build those timelines to be able to really kind of drive down some realization that you can't do everything all at once. There's just a timing aspect to it, and to really begin to start to prioritize needs first within a realistic time frame continuum. The outcome from that group's extensive work was 5 recommendations that they gave to the district. The first one being able to really talk about a potential new purpose for Boerne Middle School North. The facility itself is still in really good condition. It just has some constraints on being able to operate as a full-fledged comprehensive middle school. So what are the other possibilities for that campus? The second recommendation was to establish a preferred student capacity for the middle school level at 1,200 students. Third, looking at expanding the current land portfolio for the district to identify and be able to address growth needs when they occur. And then to develop and convene a long-range planning committee to start looking at implementation of improvements and or new facilities over a period of time. And with some of the analyses that have been done with the existing campuses, recognizing that there's capacity availability in some of your existing campuses and leveraging that and being able to really maximize use of your existing campuses to strategically postpone the need for the third high school. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that first action item or recommendation.
Good evening. So we know that instruction does drive facilities, so I want to share with you an instructional update. So at the heart of our mission is a clear and ambitious goal to prepare our students for life beyond high school, whether it be to enroll in college, serve in the military, or go straight into the workforce. We recognize that success in any of these paths depends not only on academic readiness, but also the ability to think critically, adapt to change, solve problems, and collaborate effectively. So we're living in a time of rapid change, and actually the world our students will enter is evolving quickly, and many of the careers that they will find themselves have not been created yet. So that means equipping every learner with enduring skills like communication, resilience, creativity, and the ability to learn continuously. It also means ensuring that our instruction, curriculum, and assessments are aligned with real-world demands and provide opportunities for meaningful engagement. One of the ways that we are doing this is through the development of a comprehensive early childhood through grade 12 STEM continuum. This initiative is designed to engage students early in the problem-solving process and nurture the foundational skills that they'll need to thrive in any path that they choose. It's important to know that STEM is more than just science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. While not all of our students will become engineers or scientists, STEM is a framework. It's a way of thinking that helps students grow as collaborators, critical thinkers, and creative problem solvers. So through hands-on inquiry, real-world experiences and challenges, and cross-disciplinary learning, our students are building the capacity to tackle complex problems and with confidence. So with that in mind, we must be intentional about the instructional spaces we provide and design moving forward. The environments we build, classrooms, labs, collaborative learning areas, must reflect the kind of learning we're striving for. Flexible, future-ready spaces that foster creativity and communication and innovation will be essential to bringing our instructional vision for life.
All right, so with that in mind, we took the charge of really rethinking about what are some new possibilities for Boerne Middle School North. And so we convened a different committee, very similar acronym, but different meaning. We called it the Facilities Planning Focus Group, Facilities Programming, Future Programming Focus.
Future Programming
Future
Focus
Programming
Group.
Focus Group. Thank you. Sorry. And this group was composed specifically of district staff. So it included members from central office, it included campus leadership, campus teachers, but a lot of the people whose voices were lent to this group came at it from an instruction perspective, which was important for this group because of the charge that we needed the instruction to be able to drive facilities or construction. So very similar to the sequence that you saw before, there was a timeline that was laid out. There were meetings that were identified for this group to participate in. One of the first things we asked them is what did they feel was a program or some sort of initiative that would benefit Boerne ISD. And overwhelmingly, the majority of respondents said something that focused on CTE or a career-focused sort of aspect was something that was would be seen as beneficial. So what this group did is after talking a lot about the various different types of programs that are out there, we actually set off on a tour across Texas, if you will, where we visited 4 different metroplexes, the DFW area, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio area, and visited 17 facilities across the state. And we looked at facilities that were being particularly innovative in the programming that they were offering, or it was a departure from kind of a normal academic setup, or they were achieving really great results or getting great communication out of it. The 17 sites that we visited all kind of fell into one of 6 potential categories that as a group we were going to be looking at. Excuse me, my allergies are really driving me nuts lately. But what you'll see here is that there was an overwhelming emphasis on CTE, and a lot of these programs that we went and visited actually had a blending of multiple different types of programs within them. So they weren't all just solely specialized on early college or early childhood. A lot of them had blending or combination thereof. Some visuals of just a couple of the facilities that we saw. There was a lot of variety in what was seen. We saw new facilities that were ground up construction, and we saw facilities that were renovations of either buildings that a district already had in its portfolio or buildings that were actually purchased by the district for with the intention of renovating into these programs. We saw buildings that had a historic aspect to it, maybe not deemed on the historic register, but it had community, sentimental value to it, and we saw ones that were just brand new, extremely modern. We saw the integration of not just CTE teaching programs, but the implementation of student-led businesses and enterprise. We also saw how local businesses could be integrated into some of these facilities. We saw a wide range in the type of students that they took in. Some facilities were focused on a rigorous application process, and students had to reach a certain grade point average, or they had to have passing star grades, star scores, or other programs were open to anybody in the district who wanted to attend it. We saw a variety of how courses were offered. Some facilities, the entire pathway was offered just at the facility itself, and in some districts you did maybe introductions back at your home campus, and the practicums or the advanced labs were at the new facility. We also saw a wide range in how they connect to their community. Simply because of geographical location, some facilities were naturally had a lot of foot traffic from their community. And some, because of where they were located at, had to be a driving destination. And so pros and cons for both of those. Overwhelmingly, though, a lot of the respondents really appreciated their opportunity to get out there and not just see what was happening across the state, but really to reflect on bringing back the best to Boerne ISD. And I will also mention that there were instances where they went out and saw facilities and said, hey, you know what, we're actually doing it better at home already. So even though it was the intention to go out and see innovative facilities and programs, sometimes we didn't even need to go that far. You know, the real innovation is already occurring here. But these were just some of the quotes that some of those participants gave us at the end of the tours. And I really I want to acknowledge the sacrifice that the district made in allowing those participants the ability to go and do these tours. Sending folks out in 17 different locations is no small feat, but I think it really speaks to the commitment from the district on really wanting to make sure that no stone was left unturned in being able to research and see what was being offered out there. So you may be asking as far as, well, what happens next? So the recommendation or the overall feeling from the group was that a CTE-focused facility is something that they felt had the most benefit to the district. But as Larissa mentioned, we really want instruction to be able to drive construction. And so we have to develop the program. And so what that means is taking student interest surveys, also studying workforce projections and telling us what the local economy is needing in order to be able to support it, what sort of external partnerships are potentially available, and then also doing analysis of what type of CTE programs and courses can be offered. Is it going to be a split system where the intros are happening at the home campus and the advanced labs are happening at the destination campus, or is it a hybrid thereof? But ultimately, that next important step is going to be led by the teaching and learning department, because that really is the forefront of where we want that effort to be at. Once we have an understanding of what the actual programs would be that would be recommended for implementation here, a facility assessment should be done of the campus through that lens. So assessing not just the overall building, but the site. I know parking and traffic circulation around the campus is critical. And so depending on what programs are being proposed for implementation, will have an impact on the recommendations of improvements that may need to be made at the campus. The cost implications are then done based on that facility assessment and really trying to reconcile and analyze a budget to be able to implement that program. Some just financial due diligence. You always want to do a cost comparison to new construction. You know, anybody who's gone through a home renovation sometimes feels like pulling out their hair and saying, I just want to buy new and not have to renovate. But it does really make financial sense to just make sure that you are doing the right thing by taxpayer dollars. And then as a part of that cost implications, also looking at time frame, because timelines can also have a big impact on your cost as well. And then finally, a report out after all that is completed.
Can we ask questions? Oh.
We have two more sections, so if you'd like, it's up to you. So I am completing about a year and a half, and I would say throughout all of my listen and learn opportunities with the community and with parents, one of the biggest concerns was about growth, and really our parents desiring, they know growth is coming, but let's be responsible with growth. And so this next part, I feel has to partner with this conversation, because we want to bring you and the community the latest information on what our demographic report is really telling us. And Dr. O'Hare is our go-to person internally for the demographic report.
Thank you. Good evening. So we get information from our demographer every year, and then we use that information along with our own current enrollment trends to make strategic decisions. So what we've done here with this graphic is we've taken the last 5 years of the demographic projections that we've gotten from PASA, our demographer, and then we've compared them to our actual enrollment. So that pink column that you see there, that's our actual snapshot enrollment from PEAMS that happens every October. And then in the same year where you see the blue and the green, we get 3 different levels of enrollment projections from PASA. We get a reduced enrollment projection, a moderate enrollment projection, and a high. We've never really come close to the high projection. We've always been somewhere between the moderate and the low. So what this graphic shows you is in any given year from 2020 to 24-25, where our PEIMS actual enrollment data landed with respect to PASA's low versus moderate projection. So you can see in 21-22 that we were in between PASA's low and moderate projection. You can see in 22-23 that we were below both of their low and their moderate projections. In 23-24, we were again much more significantly below their low and their moderate projections. And then here in this school year, 24-25, Mr. Scott did a nice job of adequately projecting our budget right at the midpoint between the low and the moderate projection for PASA, which is where our PEIMS landed. You'll also notice that the low and the moderate projection for PASA have kind of tightened up closer to one another over time a little bit. So what this shows us in our trend for our growth as a district is our growth rate's slowing down a little bit. Whereas we used to trend more towards the moderate projection for PASA, we now are trending towards the lower projection for PASA. Last year we grew at a rate of 1.8%. This year we're budgeting off of PASA's low model, which is a growth rate of 1.2%. So when those groups, SFPFG and the FPFG groups met, they were largely, when looking at projections and building capacities, looking at models off of the moderate projection. So we're going to show you tonight some of those same models off of PASA's most recent reduced model. So in this graphic, you see our elementary schools. Their building capacities there listed in the column highlighted in yellow. That's the capacity of the building, about how many students they can hold based on their square footage. That's the actual building itself with no additional temporary building space added in. You can see the majority of our elementaries have a capacity of 800 students, with Curington being a little bit smaller. And the total capacity of all the buildings down there at the bottom is 6,300 students. The current column that you see there isn't really current. It's the current year PEIMS snapshot enrollment. So that's our enrollment for those buildings as of October of 2024. And then you can see PASA's reduced model projections going out from 25-26 all the way to 2033-34. Where you see it begin highlighted in blue, that's where a building reaches 100% of its capacity. And then when you see it go to purple, that's when it reaches 120% of its capacity. At the point when it reaches 120%, we either need to have a new building to accommodate more students, or we might need to look at rezoning in order to maximize all the seats in our available buildings. The reason we use 120 instead of 100 is because we know for most of our buildings we can put temporary buildings on the outside of them for some additional student space. So what you can see here is that Fabra is the first elementary campus to go over capacity. Also included here is Viola Wilson, which is that zone, and the projections there are new since the last time that SFPF group took a look at this data. You can see that with the creation of our Viola Wilson elementary zones, we accomplished a lot of our goals. At that time, Van Rob and Fair Oaks Ranch elementaries were our two elementaries that were going over capacity the fastest. We've smartly used Viola Wilson Elementary to alleviate the enrollment of those two schools. And now that you can see all of our campuses stay within capacity until Fabra gets there at 28-29. And we have capacity in all of our campuses overall until you hit that 2032, 2033 year when that 6405 goes over the total capacity. For our middle schools, you can see here our building capacities located there in yellow. You'll notice that 2 of our middle schools have that recommended capacity of 1,200. And one of them is under that, Boerne Middle School North, because of its smaller footprint. Here you can see that Boerne Middle School North and Boerne Middle School South reach 100% capacity in the 27-28 school year, but you can also see that there's plenty of capacity remaining in Voss Middle School all the way out through 2033-2034. And you can see that our middle schools, as all total, don't reach their capacity until 2033-2034. What that tells us is that we could better utilize the capacity in our middle schools by perhaps entertaining some middle school rezoning and leveraging some of the available space in Voss Middle School. For our high schools here, these capacities represent our high schools with their new wings added on. So you can see Boerne High School there now at 1,900 and Champion High School at 2,600. You can see we've got a lot of space in our high schools. You can see Champion hits capacity out there at 2030, 2031 before Boerne High School. We're actually seeing our school high school choice numbers kind of shift a little bit. They used to be fairly even, one high school to another, kind of trading off students in high school choice. But recently, Boerne High School is picking up more students in the high school choice. Not that it's a competition, but if it were. And that's largely because more students are choosing the health science tech P-Tech when they're choosing their P-Tech Academy by a factor of about 2 to 1 over the Champion High School Cybersecurity P-Tech. And so you can see the need for our third high school is quite a ways out when you look at these numbers. And if we were to entertain something like a high school CTE center for Boerne Middle School North, that would also push this out even further because those would be possibly high school students coming off the high school campus to that campus. When you look at overall developments that we're watching in the near future, this map shows you a rendering of our district, color-coded with student populations in particular zones, planning units. The darker they are, the more students that they will generate or growth they will generate in the coming years. You can see there kind of that stripe going down diagonally down the center of the graphic there is the I-10 corridor. You can see a lot of the neighborhoods that we're watching are on the western side of the I-10 corridor there. Shoreline Park up there in the north, planning unit 6 is KB Homes neighborhood. You've got the Bluffview multifamily apartments over there in planning unit 10. You have Corley Farms over there in planning unit 23. So these are all causing Boerne Middle School North and Fabra Elementary to gain more students there on the north side of town. And they're also causing Via Wilson over there on that side to grow a little bit. So as we consider, as the board considers one of the SFPFG's recommendations about a land acquisition, you can tell that the western side of I-10 is where we're experiencing a lot of growth. It might be advantageous to have some holdings over in that area. You're also seeing a little bit of growth up there in planning unit 66, which is Esperanza, and over there we're planning unit 74, which is George's Ranch. But you'll notice over there when we looked at our building capacities and demographics, we have more space over there. We have space in Voss Middle School. We have space in some of our elementaries, whereas we don't have as much capacity over there on the west side of I-10. Back to you, Ramiro.
No doubt you have been able to digest a lot of information very quickly. But what we want to do is we kind of want to look to see, are we capable of looking at the future with confidence? And to do that, we can look at Bond 2022. How did that go? Well, Bond 2022 included a lot of good projects, a lot of impactful projects, and we start to see how important it is for us to look to see how we were able to get those accomplished. Some of the highlights of Bond 22 were the construction of Viola Wilson Elementary School. We also saw significant additions at both of the high schools. We see the renovations of our legacy libraries in our legacy elementary schools, and then the transforming of the former central office to what is now the Mitchell Learning Center. We also had a lot of campus-wide improvements to air quality and safety and security. But the interesting part of Bond 22 was that it was planned and executed in the height of COVID-19. So there was a lot of unprecedented changes that we had to deal with. How could we strategize? How could we get these projects done on time and under budget with these challenges? Well, we saw the challenges. The price of materials went up between 35 to 40%. We saw how the supply chains were slowing down. We couldn't get the material to us fast enough. And then the labor shortages. Despite all of these hurdles, we are proud to say that we have progressed and we have achieved what a lot of our school districts around the area were not able to do. Again, we understand that we had a lot going for us. We had Boerne, the community, we had the city of Boerne. All of these were partners for us, and we were able to demonstrate our resilience, our adaptability, and our commitment to our students and our community. So in saying that, the information that we got, the information that we have on hand, how are we able to look at it and actually plan? Well, Boerne Middle School North, we knew that we had site constraints. We spoke about it a little earlier. But based on the recommendations from the focus groups, we were able to see and get direction as to the attention that we were going to place on the middle school north. We know that the school occupies about 10.4 acres of property. It limits us. it limits us on expansion opportunities. It's going to be very hard even to put portable buildings at this site. But what we were able to do is we were able to address the parking limitations. We had constructed a staff parking up on the northeast corner of the property. Additionally, the site property began to help us to see how we can come into compliance with new city codes that we were having to deal with. And this summer, we're going to comply with the city. We started to see how we had to put in a new apron on the southeast corner of the property. This again will help us to be in compliance, but more than that, it's going to help us to be able to flow the traffic through the parking. Now, we were also informed by the city of Boerne that there was going to be a construction of a roundabout there at School Street and also at the corner of School and Johns Road. Now, this is going to be constructed in 2 phases, both summers. The first summer is going to be the infrastructure. The second summer, they're actually going to build the roundabout. And they were being good partners in planning all of the work to be done during the summer to have least impact on the students and our staff there at Boerne Middle School North. So again, a true testament as to our partnerships and how we want to maintain and strengthen all of the partnerships that we have with our community. So the next slide helps us to see that Kendall Elementary School and Boerne Middle School South sits on a 56, almost 57 acre tract. Now, you would think that with 56 acres as compared to what we see at North, we could build whatever we want. But really, if you look at the constraints there at that site, we see that it's shared by not only a middle school south, but it's also Kendall Elementary School. But this site also has its own unique situation, its challenges. What are they? Well, we can begin with the drainage. That area, that side of town, really has to deal with a lot of the drainage that we see. And with this, it brought us to be able to understand what our constraints on this piece of property was. Subsequent feasibility study determined that addressing and trying to comply with these new codes was going to be an investment of close to $1.5 million just for the middle school site. So additionally, per the focus group, we started to look at the recommendations that the both focus groups were helping us to see as direction and being able to see that this was real information at real time. So we started looking at what we were tasked to do with these focus groups, and both focus groups helped us to see that they wanted a capacity of 1,200 students. Now, when we looked at Boerne Middle School South, that was already accomplished. So we already have the 1,200 student capacity. And again, there we can also put portable buildings. So we also were notified again by the city that Boerne Middle School South was going to have work done around it. Now, it's not too close to the school, but it is going to affect our traffic flow. And that is because they're doing a city drainage project, again, at the intersection of Cascade Caverns and Old San Antonio Road. We're currently collaborating with the city to evaluate how that's going to impact our campus and in what ways we can mitigate any issues that might come up. Now again, this slide helps us to see and compare the two groups, the two focus groups that were tasked to help us to see what the road to the future was going to be. We started to use this real data that we have today in order to be able to see how we can strategically and intentionally look at the path to the future. We know that it's difficult. We know it's a challenge, but we are up for the task. So as we see all these things happening, we realize that we are looking to the future with real data at this time to be able to certainly care for the needs of and the growth of our students here at Boerne ISD. Now, at this point, there is a discussion opportunity for anybody on our team to be able to field any questions that you might have.
That was definitely a question that was asked at every location that was visited. If you had to do this all over again, would you do something differently? I don't know that there was a consistent misstep that was noticed, because a lot of programs were just so very different, and there was such wide variety in what was seen that I don't think that there was a consistent error that was seen. But we did ask every single time, hey, lessons learned, you've been living here now for, a couple of years, or some of these programs have been going on for close to a decade. So what are things that you would do differently now if you could start over again? So
In that department? Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. O'Hare, I had a question for you. As far as, I know this is going to be a hard one to kind of quantify, the academy enrollment, have you seen as far as seats filled? Because I know their graduation at the academy and when kids go in and out, but as far as percentage of enrollment or capacity there at academy, where do we see that?
And then of course, they've got 65 Chromebooks over there, which is also a capacity factor for them. So what they do is they are on a big enrollment push right now because their goal is to fill those 65 seats at the beginning of every year, and they do a pretty good job with that. They start off with 65 students at the beginning of the year, and then those students start progressing through their coursework and graduating. And then at semester, they do it again. They do more recruiting because they've graduated some students by semester, and they start filling those seats. Their enrollment will drop. They'll drop down to the 40s and down to the 30s, but it's because they're graduating students. What I've appreciated about the weekly reports that I get from Mr. Hatton, our director over there, is that they are currently on pace to outpace their number of graduates this year over last year. They've been consistently ahead.
Yeah, no, I've been really, really pleased to see that the community is, I think, accepting the academy very well, and I'm happy to see that. But I see there might be a correlation with how many kids are wanting to do that route. Once we have, if there were to offer a CTE route, I think you might have some same mentality that might join those ranks.
Yes, sir.
I have a question real quick for Dr. O'Hare as well. Sorry. Thank you so much. When I was looking at your slide for the elementary, the reduced model enrollment slide, I was concerned about the 2025, 2026 enrollment. It seemed like there was a decline. Is there like an explanation for why there's such a decline for 2025, 2026?
Let me find it. Oh, got elementary. Yeah, so what they do in elementary, when you look at passes model and their enrollment, there's a couple things they factor in that cause the elementary enrollment to decline while our secondary enrollment is picking up to kind of make up for the difference. One is the birth rates. So the birth rate trend is consistently lower. And then we had this kind of large cohort that was moving through elementary that's now moved to middle school. And so what's been happening is the outgoing 5th grade class has been larger than the incoming kindergarten class, and that's the one of the major reasons you see that dip there. The other thing they're doing in their reduced model is they're factoring in a little bit for the schools that are coming online for St. Peter's coming online and some of that competition.
Thank you.
You know, Dr. O'Hare, I had a question regarding the academy, because last week I was at a lunch and I was talking to Thomas, and he mentioned they had already had 87 graduates. which is amazing. I think our previous high might have been like 72 or something like that. Once a student graduates, they're removed from the enrollment count for the district. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so if we're at 11,141, we've already graduated 87. The reality was, at one point during the year, we were well over 11,200 kids. We just have already graduated 87 of them. And where I'm going with this is if you go back a number of years, between snapshot date at the end of October and the end of the school year, there wasn't much of a change. Well, last few years, it's been 30, 40, 50 kids. And that's even with graduating a lot of kids. So because of the very active subdivisions in our community, of which Corley Farms is just one of them, we are gaining a lot of kids throughout the year. And that didn't happen 10 years ago, you know.
Yes, sir. I concur.
And then I had a question for Robin, if you don't mind. Can you explain on the slide that shows the different businesses it looks like is going on at the locations? I think it would be maybe just really interesting for our audience to hear maybe some of the opportunities that you saw from the different site visits for CTE in those locations.
Yeah, absolutely. So there were several facilities that we saw where businesses were being led by students, and some of these were actually programs that got a start even at the elementary school level. So the picture on the upper right corner is a student-run business called Blooms. I believe this is in Boerne ISD, and if anybody is here who was on those tours, feel free to. Okay, perfect. But that one also had a younger version of that business that was started at the elementary school level. So it kind of began to speak to stair-stepping and tiered approach. I think Forney was also the one that it was a multi-story facility, and the ground floor had businesses either that were student-run or were private businesses that were basically leasing space within the facility. So in theory, the ground floor is like the public domain and was able to be accessed by folks during the day, but floors 2 and up were the secured section. So once you went up to the second floor, you went through the proper security protocols because you were then entering the school. I think some of the challenges we saw with that one was location, because it was in a spot within their community where you really had to intentionally drive to go there. Whereas some of the other facilities that we saw, in fact, the photo right next to it with the group of people looking at the table was a existing kind of older building on the town square in Belleville that the school district purchased, and it was an extension of some of their CTE programs. So their culinary arts program is located there, and on certain days of the week they're open to the public for serving meals and whatnot. But because it was located on the town square, it had a lot of high visibility to the foot traffic that was happening. So there was a lot of correlation also from that group that went there, being able to see some commonalities with location of Boerne Middle School North to Main Street here. And they also leveraged their facility to implement a museum that kind of highlighted the history of the district. There were a couple of like just little nuggets and gems that were found throughout. So.
Robin, as a follow-up to Courtney's question, based on where our location of Boerne Middle School North is, how does that compare to some of the more favorable sites you would have seen for a CTE-oriented facility?
I think it's a great site for implementation of a wide potential offerings of various different courses. I think some of the real compelling intangibles with your location on Boerne Middle School North are things that just can't be replicated with a brand new site. The proximity to downtown, the proximity to central office. There's a lot of just really good synergy that occurs with the location of where the current campus is that I think would be hard to replicate elsewhere. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And Mr. Pipes, I actually did think of a response to your question earlier. Not enough space. There never seems to be enough space, even though you think you program it well or you think you've bought a building that's big enough. Space always seems to run out. So
Is that individual class size or overall building?
I would say it was kind of a mix of
mix.
overall. Storage tends to always be at the top. We never planned for enough storage. So
What types of, and just to clarify, this would not replace North. North would be moved to a different location. This is a buy-in program, that community buy-in, different things going on. I picture lots of shuttles going back and forth all day, and just lots of innovative things happening. And I actually spoke to a principal who was on the tour, and he called he was just on fire for this. He's like, Boerne ISD, we really need to try to adopt something to what these districts are doing. Then it's just so amazing for the students, and it opens up so many possibilities for them and for the community. And my question is, what kind of grade levels did you mainly see at these facilities that were kind of buying into this program?
I would say overwhelmingly it tended to be focused at the high school level. We did see some programs that implemented at just a more secondary type focus, so 6th grade and up. And there were a couple that really made some intentional outreach to the elementary school programs, but those were, I would say, fewer and far between. Allen ISD, their STEM center, has an intentional integration of their elementary schools to come and visit the facilities as a part of incorporating certain aspects of their curriculum in there. So I think that was one of the better suited ones that intentionally integrated elementary school. But for the most part, it was more intentionally focused at the high school level.
I know we're kind of outgrowing some of our pathways. What kind of opportunities did you see there that at these facilities that you thought were successful?
I think the most successful pathways that we saw are when they were directly related to what local workforce and economy demands were for. So there was a lot of industry-based and oil gas type focus in the Houston area that was really not just well thought through, but well supported by the external partnerships that they were able to have. A lot of the more tech related focus up in Dallas and the Austin area had a real good backing to it. The programs in the San Antonio area, the health careers, I think is a solid program that has a lot of support from its industry, but that is one of the programs that when we visited, we felt that, you know, everything that they're doing, we seem to be doing here, and we're doing it, we think, if not just as good, maybe even a little bit better. I hope that doesn't get out. So it was one of those things that, you know, they really had the buy-in of the local workforce, which makes sense for the San Antonio area with it being such a high density in the medical and health careers. So,
well, it's a smart approach. So thank you for starting the conversation.
One other thought too. I'm sorry, Rich. I was just thinking about, we talked about the location being just fantastic with it being so close to Main Street or on Main Street. And I love the fact that we're looking at like middle school exploration for CTE and even elementary schools, even getting in with STEM. And so the opportunities exist. And I just think about the opportunities if we are moving north to a new location, then that opens up the whole stadium or the football field area just to expand and really grow, just have lots of opportunities. I see great potential there. So it's exciting to see us move in this direction. So I think y'all are onto something.
well, and I apologize, I didn't respond to your entire question earlier, but as far as how to determine shuttling and busing and what levels of courses are offered there, that's really going to be that next step that Larissa and her team are going to spearhead to really make sure that the intentionality behind the programming from an instructional perspective aligns with the needs of the district, not just today, but for the future. So that way any proposed modifications to the campus can be done with a real intentional and data-focused mindset.
You know, it's these are just some thoughts, not so much a question, but you all already answered the question of how we would determine new CT programs. There's a lot of work and a lot of research, a lot of surveys and this will all take time. It's not something that's going to happen, 3 months from now. But there were two quotes from the folks that were on the visiting team. One was, "My thought process changed from building comprehensive new schools to new programs." And I thought that was really good because it's very easy to build a comprehensive third high school, but that is very, 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 very expensive. And anytime in the next 5, 6, 7 years, that would simply result in very small high schools, which then inherently become less efficient. So I thought that quote from the individual was very good. The other one, I think, maybe it was you, Dr. Kraft, or maybe it was Larissa that said, "Instruction drives construction." And what I'm hearing wherever I go in the community, whether it's Rotary or business groups, they love the CTE programs. They love the industry-based certificates that our kids are earning. They love the practicality. They notice that we have a 90% plus CCMR rate, and this is good. So I love that instruction is going to drive construction, because that infers we're going to have more options for our kids, more pathways. Meet a student where they are, not with your preconceived notion of what they should learn. It just gives them tremendous options. And it's very, very exciting. About 6 years ago, when I was in leadership, TASB, I visited a district in East Texas that has 2 high schools. I think there were 5A high schools, and then a central CTE facility. And they shuttle the kids. And I'm talking to these, why go to this school? Why go to this school? Whatever, They're all learning this stuff, and it was impressive. And they had what we have at the ranch or at Boerne, and then some. And I think that's what we're talking about, right? Just more and more programs for our students, which opens up options for a better future.
And I'll comment on one of the things at the meeting last week, the Bond Oversight Committee, and the 4-digit acronym, whichever one it is. I can't remember which one it is. But we talked a lot about, or Dr. Kraft talked a lot about the engagement with the EDC and with the chamber, and the business connections, and really working with the businesses to find out what the needs are. And it goes back to the collaboration that's been so important to the school district over the years, because we're teaching kids, we're going to need to learn how to teach kids to do jobs that don't even exist today. And so learning from those businesses what those needs are, what their needs are, and then looking at some of the pictures, when I don't remember the exact statistic, but HVAC, plumbing, and electrician, the average age of that workforce is in the upper 50s. And so if we don't start responding to those needs and building the availability of trades for those industries, we're all going to suffer for that. And so I think those are the kind of programs where we drive student interest, showing them the ability to have great earnings, have a great lifestyle. College is not for everybody, and it goes back to CCMR. And I just commend the group for identifying those kind of opportunities for our students.
Well, team, as you can see, these have been 2 really important focus groups that have taken a lot of time. We appreciate Robin and her expertise with facilitating, and we appreciate our teachers and leaders, and thanks. In being engaged in the process. And so what you heard tonight was just the beginning, early stages of where we're at. And one of you mentioned this does not happen overnight. I envision next school year having a very robust plan that we build this summer of how we engage our community partners, the Chamber of Commerce, the EDC, and really pulling together business and partner industry convenings to hear from our business leaders what is happening in their world of work, and what do they see on the horizon, and what kind of programming we need to be looking at. We already have a fantastic CTE team that studies workforce data trends. They know the careers that are on the horizon. And so this really begins this whole other phase of planning as we look to the future. And again, I just want to repeat, every time I met with parents, they echo the same sentiment. We know we're growing. People want to move to Boerne, but please, let's be responsible with growth. And I think this is a fantastic example of how we are pausing and really looking at the data and what it tells us today. And want to thank Romero Guerrero for his leadership in managing our bond program. And there's just amazing facilities all across Boerne, and we know that there'll be amazing facilities down the road. But in the foreseeable future, we will be looking at what does a long-range steering committee look like, because again, these decisions are not made in isolation. They're made with a committee of community members that you would be nominating individuals to serve on committees. And so, we have a lot of moving parts, but the first piece that we needed to deliver tonight was this update to you.
Thank you. It was very, very comprehensive. And just one other thought, and Dr. Hare, I know you work closely with our demographer, but I think as time has gone along, they understand our community better than I think they did 5 years ago. I think they're much more accurate. I'm relieved that the forecasts are less than they were 5 years ago. I think that's a good thing. We can manage it much more easily, and I think they've made significant progress.
Yes, exciting stuff. So no vote is needed for that discussion, and we will move on to actions with business from Mr. Scott.
Good evening, everybody. Trustee Falconberry, welcome to what will be your favorite part of your board meeting. You've been provided the results of operations financially for the district for the month ending through April 30th, excuse me. And the first item in there is the budgetary comparison report. The results of this report is that they're within operational and budgeted expectations. I would point you to look at the results from child nutrition, where the surplus to date has risen from 30,000 to 80,000. So that seems to be going well. There are no budget amendments in this report. There is a donations report. There were 36,000 in donations. There were a number of folks that contributed to the benefit of our students. A concentration of them were for the DHS incubator. So we really appreciate donations. And in the report, we've collected about 96% of our levy to date. You've been watching that month. That close to within about a 0.5% of what we normally see, and that was good to see. We had a couple of pretty significant delinquent accounts. One of those was paid off in April, which contributed in large closing that. So if you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address those at the time.
Questions?
Yeah, on the tax collection, our gap between last year and this year did shrink pretty nicely. I think you mentioned there was a couple large property owners that paid. Is that trend continuing in May?
I haven't seen any reports, honestly, to May.
I know it's still early in May.
Still early.
But we usually have a pretty good collection in May and June.
And June, sorry, we've got a couple of deadlines coming up that folks will want to avoid the other side of, the penalties and interest associated. They see it.
The other thing I noticed was in the debt service fund, I believe, if I'm reading it correctly, we're already like $100,000 over our budget of revenue for the debt service. Is that due to our investment income, or because we still have delinquent taxes that haven't been paid?
That is due to our investment income. We have one payment left to make in June, and if I remember right, that's the 22 variable. I think it's like, but I do. We did budget for a $1.2 million deficit to address last year, where we got $1 million more from the state. an overly large debt service fund balance. We want to pay that. Come. That.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Scott. I move to approve the budget amendments, donation report, and tax collection report as presented.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. And next we have future business items. June 16th, 2025 will be our regular meeting to discuss budget adoption, public hearing, approved depository contract, preliminary STAR results, end of year progress monitoring report, and SHAC report. Anybody else, anything? Good to the cause? All right. All right, meeting adjourned at 8:30 p.m.